President Xi Jinping meets multiple leaders ahead of Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin. New no-smoking zones added in Hong Kong. An Israeli airstrike killed the prime minister of the Houthi-controlled government in Yemen's capital. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit kicked off in Tianjin today. President Xi Jinping held bilateral talks with multiple leaders, including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In the meeting, Xi and Modi pledged to join hands to safeguard peace along the borders and not let border issues define Sino-Indian relations. At the State Guest House in the northern Chinese port municipality of Tianjin, where the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is held, President Xi Jinping met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Noting that this year marks the 75th anniversary of the establishment of Sino-Indian diplomatic ties, Xi stresses both sides should view their relations from a strategic and long-term perspective. He says China and India should regard each other as partners, not rivals, as opportunities for development, not threats. Xi urges both countries to jointly maintain peace and stability along the border and not let border disputes set the tone of their relations. Echoing the sentiment, Modi says India and China are partners rather than adversaries, and common ground far outweighs differences. Modi expresses India's willingness to seek a fair and mutually acceptable solution to the border issue. He also underlines that both nations adhere to strategic autonomy and independent diplomacy, and the relationship between them is not affected by third parties. Analysts have remarked that while Sino-Indian relations strain because of border conflicts, Modi's trip is another sign of a thaw in ties between China and India. Xi also held talks with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev in Tianjin. Xi stresses the two sides should strengthen strategic alignment and pursue high-quality Belt and Road development. Also engaged with each other in Tianjin were Xi and Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, who jointly announced the establishment of a China-Armenia strategic partnership. Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived in Tianjin early this morning, marking his second visit to China in as many years after his state trip in May last year. After his Tianjin engagements, Putin will travel to Beijing to attend the events commemorating the war of resistance against Japanese aggression. The Kremlin revealed that Putin is accompanied by a large delegation this time, underscoring the high level of the China-Russia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership for a new era. State media Xinhua News published a commentary article saying that President Xi will propose new approaches for the SCO at the summit to constructively safeguard the post-World War II international order, improve global governance system, and practice true multilateralism, while opposing acts of hegemony and bullying. Starting today, 10 more no-smoking zones have been added to public transport facilities in Hong Kong. Offenders are liable to a fixed penalty of $1,500 without warning. Samantha Lee spoke to some smokers.
Exhibition Center Station Public Transport Interchange is among the newly added no-smoking zones. Banners were hung, while knives drawn on the floor to indicate boundaries. A map on the wall shows that the smoke-free area covers the entire bus terminal, as well as the entrances and exits of the MTR station. The smoker said as long as clear signs were provided, he did not mind going to the smoking areas. He added that smoking is more of a mental addiction, and he had the confidence to control himself in case he was unable to find a smoking area. This resident supported the anti-smoking initiative, saying he was annoyed by the smell of second-hand smoke while queuing for public transport. He hopes to see more smoke-free zones and suggested smoking booths in public areas. Apart from the public transport interchange in Wan Chai, 9 more facilities were also designated as non-smoking areas. The extension of no-smoking area aims to protect the public from second-hand smoke and discourage smoking. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
A survey by a social service group found that more than 25% of students they polled show signs of depression. From November last year to March this year, Baptist Oikwan Social Service surveyed more than 1,800 secondary school students. On a 5-point scale, the average happiness score of students was 2.9, indicating an average level that is slightly better than last year's score of 2.6. Worryingly, more than 1 in 4 students surveyed show signs of moderate to very severe depression. More than 40% of them were most dissatisfied with time management. The group urged families to strengthen parent-child relationship, with parents setting good examples in focus and time management, while offering encouragement and open support when their children encounter setbacks. Israel will soon halt or slow down humanitarian aid into parts of northern Gaza as it expands its military offensive against Hamas. With Gaza City already declared a combat zone, the decision is likely to bring more condemnation of Israel as frustration grows in the country and abroad over dire conditions for Palestinians and hostages. Nasir Karim with more.
Many are going, while some choose to stay. Whatever their decision, life in Gaza will not get easier for Palestinians, caught up in almost 23 months of relentless Israeli attacks and the destruction of their cities. The airdrops offering a fraction of the relief necessary will either stop completely or slow down, as Israel's military, the IDF, expands its offensive in Gaza City in the north of the Strip. Speaking from the top of a truck piled high with personal items, Fadi Al-Daur said the city is unlivable. No one is searching and there are no journalists to film. There is nothing, he said. Others already displaced several times are refusing to leave, saying there is a severe lack of space wherever they go. There is no space, says Iman Qasem, a cancer patient. If they want to hit us, let them. We die every day. Life is difficult and Gaza has been completely destroyed. In Tel Aviv, relatives of hostages and their supporters held their weekly rallies demanding an end to the war. Their anger further fueled after the bodies of 2 hostages were recovered. Idan Shtivi, 28 at the time of his death, is the latest to be identified. He was captured at the Nova Festival on October 7th. Israel says 48 hostages are still held, of whom around 20 are believed to be alive. Relatives blasted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for rejecting a ceasefire deal that Hamas accepted.
Netanyahu, if another living hostage comes back in a bag, it will not only be the hostages and their families who pay the price. You will bear responsibility for premeditated murder.
Swedish rights activist Greta Thunberg is set to sail from Barcelona to Gaza aboard a flotilla carrying aid to Palestinians, even after dozens of previous attempts were thwarted by Israeli attacks.
We are aware of the risk. By abiding by international law, try to face the challenges that we might face. But we have to keep in mind that this mission is not about us. It's not about the risk that we are facing. It is about the risk that Gazans and Palestinians are facing every single day.
Nazri Karim, TVB News.
The Palestinian president's office has urged the U.S. government to reverse its decision to revoke his visa weeks before he is to appear at the UN's main annual meeting. The 27-nation European Union asked the Trump administration to reconsider the visa revocation, which drew broad criticism. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio rescinded the visas of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and 80 other officials ahead of September's UN General Assembly in New York City. The meeting is where several countries, including Britain, France, and Canada, will formally recognize a Palestinian state, a move the U.S. opposes. The EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas issued a statement about the revoked visas, saying, in light of the existing headquarters agreements between the UN and its host state, we urge for this decision to be reconsidered. An Israeli airstrike killed the prime minister of the Houthi-controlled government in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, according to the Houthis on Saturday. And officials were wounded. The premier was targeted along with other members of his Houthi-controlled government during a routine meeting. Al-Rahawi wasn't part of the inner circle of rebel leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi, who runs the military and strategic affairs. Since October 2023, the Houthis have been attacking ships in the Red Sea linked to Israel in solidarity with Gaza, while also firing missiles at targets inside Israel. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned leaders meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in China not to be fooled. This as Ukraine's port city of Odessa suffered blackouts after a strike on power facilities in another large-scale Russian attack. Moscow says it has downed 112 drones fired at them. And the top Russian general says his forces have the upper hand in the war, detailing vast areas of Ukraine under Russian control. Kyiv says Russia has failed to take any major city. David Garrett reports.
Ukraine blames Russia. In his address, Volodymyr Zelensky says he spoke to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi specifically about the latest attacks. Ukraine's leader urges Modi to pressure Putin, with the war likely to be raised during this week's meetings in China. Zelensky says Putin is duping leaders, drawing them into his camp. European foreign ministers meeting in Copenhagen agree.
I think everybody agree that it's very clear that Putin is trying to buy time and divert attention from the massive and brutal attacks on Ukraine. He must not succeed. And the only language he understands is that of hard pressure.
Residents assess the damage and begin the clean-up in Zaporizhia. A 5-story residential building was hit, balconies and walls needing to be rebuilt. A huge crater in the middle of the street, destruction at this cafe. It was hit at night with no one inside. Staff did their best to remove the debris in the hope they can open again. As volunteers came to help, Nadia, who works in the shop, says goods are damaged, equipment damaged again. It is going to cost so much. It's so hard. David Garrett, TVB News.
And still ahead, Chicago's mayor pushes back against President Trump's plan to surge of officers into the city. Worrying trend of teaching materials for self-help tooth filling found online. And from horsemanship performance to food industry, Inner Mongolia herders' new lifestyle. Welcome back. Chicago's mayor on Saturday pushed back against what he called the out-of-control Trump administration's plan to surge federal officers into the nation's third-largest city. The Chicago Police Department will be barred from helping federal authorities in enforcement operations, according to an executive order signed by Mayor Brandon Johnson. Trump is determined to deploy federal enforcement units to cities, mostly Democratic-led, where he feels crime and illegal immigration are rampant. Unlike the recent federal takeover of policing in Washington, D.C., the Chicago operation is not expected to rely on the National Guard or military and is focused exclusively on immigration. Johnson described Trump as a threat to democracy and demanded that he stand down on those plans. A passenger train derailed in western Egypt, killing at least 3 people and injuring 94 others. The train derailed as it traveled to Cairo from the western Mediterranean province of Matruh. 7 of its coaches went off the tracks, with 2 of them overturning. Train derailments and crashes are relatively common in Egypt. In recent years, the government announced initiatives to improve its railways, but the crash last October killed at least 1 person and injured many others. China has unveiled the 4th batch of national-level war memorial sites and relics in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. In Beijing, officials announced at a press conference 34 new war memorial sites, along with 41 heroic figures and 2 hero groups. They joined the previous 3 batches of 260 sites and over 1,000 heroes or hero groups nationwide. Authorities say the relics bear witness to the determination of compatriots from Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and overseas Chinese against Japanese aggression. A new war memorial has been unveiled at Sing, or Seven Sings Ancient Temple in Sai Kung, to honor local guerrilla fighters who fought the Japanese occupation forces in World War II. The ceremony was officiated by Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mack, and National People's Congress Standing Committee member Story Lee. During World War II, Japanese occupation troops once stationed in the temple. The Hong Kong Kowloon Independent Brigade of the Anti-Japanese Guerrilla Force raided the temple in 1944 and wiped out many Japanese soldiers there. The monument commemorates one of the brigade members who was killed in the battle. The ceremony is part of the activities marking the 80th anniversary of victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. There have been recent cases of illegal dental service, with some of the suspects acquiring dental tools online. TVB News found some demonstrations online which claims to teach how to do a tooth filling. The Hong Kong Dental Association warned that improper operation could lead to pulp necrosis. Samantha Lee reports.
There are some worrying demonstrations online which purports to teach how to do a tooth filling by yourself. This merchant wants to show how to do a filling by using plastic material that they sold at 30 RMB. He first melts the plastic particles with hot water, then sculpts it into shape supposed to fit your cavity. He then suggests a drink of water to solidify it. The retailer even hammers his new tooth to show its stiffness. Spencer Chan, president of the Hong Kong Dental Association, said the entire procedure was completely wrong, stating its quality is even lower than that of the unlicensed clinics formerly found in the Kowloon Ward city. He believed if the plastics contain toxic materials that could trigger long-term side effects. He warned it could lead to pulp necrosis if the operation was conducted improperly. We found another product which is sold for even cheaper. It is believed glass ionomer cement is used here. Ollie Yiru, assistant dean at the Faculty of Dentistry in HKU, said glass ionomer cement is one of the common filling materials. She said the problem is if any germs cannot be cleaned out properly, it could lead to tooth decay. She suggested seeking professional assistance from licensed dentists. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The traditional Inner Mongolian life was nomadic. However, with social changes in recent years, local herders have settled into more sedentary lifestyles. The local nomadic culture has branched out into tourism and food businesses with economic benefits. Debbie Tang reports.
Practicing shooting on horses, jumping onto the horse and riding backwards. These warriors on horseback demonstrate the Mongolians' bravery and equestrian prowess. Even the children are taking part. The performance is staged in Inner Mongolia's Hongge'er Aobao. Some performers are from across the border in Mongolia, and they have definitely been skilled in horsemanship since childhood. The person in charge said that around 200,000 tourists visit every year, and he hopes that more people can pay attention to the nomadic culture. But the specially themed tourist attractions cannot rely on performances alone. These Mongolian yurts provide a comfortable experience for the visitors when it comes to accommodation. Since the peak tourist season of Inner Mongolia only lasts from July to September, locals cannot rely solely on tourism to make a living. Some herders turn to specialty food making to increase their income. The salty Mongolian milk tea is an important local delicacy, which is supposed to warm the stomach and drive away chill. This company mainly manufactures ingredients for milk tea, which provides more employment opportunities for local herders. The owner said some come to work in the factory and others go and sell the products. The company attends a few large-scale exhibitions each year and takes some herders along to broaden their horizons. He also said that nowadays more and more people prefer additives-free organic food. This trend brings opportunities for these Inner Mongolian food makers to expand their sales market. Debbie Tan, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching and have a great week ahead.